Hi, I'm Kristen. Welcome to Trigger Your Truth. I have such a special guest today. This is my oldest, Samantha. Hi,
Hey,
Sam.
Mommy.
I'm so grateful for her and I love her so much. Um, but what a hard week we have all had. And I know for myself, I did a lot of crying and it was crying over all of it. There was so much that our bodies took in and um I don't even feel like I really stopped crying from all the events. There were so many this week until maybe Saturday. um and with that came a lot of for me anyhow, what I recognized was that I was consumed. I went full blown into keeping a pulse on social media, what was happening. um Turn the news on, which I can't even tell you the last time I've even turned on the TV, really, right?
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it was just I was just in it and watching it, and I didn't even realize how stuck I was becoming by taking all that in. Because I mean, what we all have watched this week is trauma, and first and foremost, I am sending so much love and light to all these families everywhere that have just been torn apart. It hurts my heart so much, and I just want them all to have gentle healing and love and light. But I think watching, social media really is what is triggering this video today, and I definitely was having some deep conversations with Sam all week, and I think this just has led me to a really big question, and I don't know what you guys are feeling out there. And Sam said such beautiful things the other day that it was so inspiring for me. I asked her to to do this today, and I think for me, you saw out there, is this racial? Is this a religious problem? Is this a political problem? And people say no, it's none of that. It's a humanity problem. And I mean, what is it? What do you guys think it is? um, I mean, what we've been shown, is it all politically, religiously, racially motivated, or is it a deeper issue?
I don't know. I don't think we'll ever really know. I think there's a lot of different motives and motivations behind things, but I think mostly it's just a tolerance problem. And I think as a society, we've become a lot less tolerant of differences in other people, whether that's a difference in religion or a difference in political beliefs. I just think we don't tolerate others as well or handle that as gracefully as we did in the past. And I think we've seen a lot of issues because of that.
So, and I agree with that. I think that's a very huge awareness using a very broad perspective. So, what do you think is causing that lack of tolerance? Has our compassion been hijacked? Are we all one-sided? I mean, what do you think is something we need to talk about and get curious about that is causing this lack of tolerance?
I mean, I think as a society, mental health is just at an all time low. And I think there's a lot of research and studies that prove that. And I think the biggest contributors to that is just the lifestyle changes that we've seen in America over the past 50 years. I think we've become a lot more sedentary. We spend more time indoors. We're not moving as much. our diets and the quality of our diets are a lot poorer. And I think that all contributes to, less like self appreciation, less self respect. I don't think we love ourselves as much. And then I think we have turned to social media and the internet as that's been on the rise as a comforting place. And I think that has just kind of fueled a lot of hatred in certain ways and created these almost communities where people feel comfortable and can turn to them, but they almost are a breeding ground for hatred and kind of influencing this, similar ideology on whatever side, but just making that so incredibly strong and surrounding ourselves so much with it that we aren't accepting or tolerant of the other views or opinions out there.
I think you're totally spot on, and I feel like ultimately it's our own responsibility to have that awareness, then to be able to notice when our body feels off, or we're to notice when we're, you know, like I did in watching way too much social media. And as a result, I didn't get outside, I didn't exercise, I could totally feel my body swelling. And then I would make poor food choices because I was trying to comfort myself. So, to heal from what we've been shown, and because this is trauma, right? What we're seeing, nobody should see that, in our feeds. I mean, it's hard to even swallow the trauma of what we were shown on live TV. Um, so how do we take that responsibility? How do we become more aware that this is in fact happening, and that we've lost tolerance for, you know, people with different views and religions and values and beliefs, that we're almost full of hate and no willingness to, you know, create unity versus keeping the divide.
I think the first thing is just acknowledging what is so successful about social media and the internet and the developers behind it is that the brain doesn't realize how addicting it is and how addicting it's become. And just until you start like looking into that and sitting with yourself and realizing just the effects it has on you and your body, you don't realize that it's become such supplemental dopamine for people rather than exercising or getting outside. It's creating these fake, not fake, I mean, they're real neural pathways, but they're not genuine dopamine that humans have experienced for all of time. It's this quick release that we get from watching little videos or
Right,
seeing different posts on social media. So I think just acknowledging that the internet and social media has become so successful because it's playing off of, what the human mind is so good at. And it's, the developers have learned that they could make it addicting and hard to put down because of that. And so I think just acknowledging that there is a limit of what is healthy and what is not with it would probably be the first step. And then I think from there you can limit what you're exposing yourself to. I think that's a personal decision because, I think a lot of people now get their news from social media,
right,
but I think just being more, not letting algorithms decide what you're exposed to and making those intentional decisions for yourself would allow you to still keep some of that free will and making your own decisions and building your own opinions and intentionally exposing yourself to the things that you want to see
right.
would probably be the first.
How do you do that though? How do you like get up and make that conscious decision?
I mean, I think initially, like any sort of detox from social media would be important. I mean, setting screen time limits or even removing apps, I think is helpful, especially because it's become mindless. Like, people now don't just sit with themselves. If you're on public transport or if you're waiting in line somewhere, even at stoplights, I know people are just pulling out their phones just out of habit, just to look at it, and they're not even intentionally realizing that they're doing it. So I think just limiting that habit and the amount of times you just pick your phone up just to, feel something or numb something or avoid something, which is what everyone does,
Right.
I think is important. And then from there, I think just going through your feeds and seeing what's beneficial to you and what's not. What people inspire you or what people motivate you or people that you think you trust or value their opinions on, whether different or the same than you and or whatever, I think you have to be careful with who you're subscribing to and allowing that content to pop up. And I also think it just needs to be an intentional process. I think a big thing with my aged individuals is this thing called doom scrolling, which is just where you sit there and just scroll primarily on like TikTok, but you can do it on like Facebook or Instagram too, and just go through random videos that your feed is
Showing
showing
you.
you. It's not things that you subscribe to. And I think that's where things are just way less intentional and you don't even know what you're seeing or
Right.
the impact
Or
it has on
so
you.
then we are being hijacked really then. So in reality with the doom scrolling or getting, the 30-second clip of a conversation that was really 10 minutes long, and forming an opinion off of 30 seconds instead of, using our mind to critically think about the full 10 minutes. We're forming an opinion based on 10 seconds that really wasn't truth
Right.
if you watch the whole thing. So we are being hijacked.
Absolutely.
So if our compassion's being hijacked, and I mean, then that's really sad. I mean, that makes me really sad. And I, for one, can own up to it. I've mentioned it in other videos that I myself had, went through phases where I used social media for my self-worth and validation, and it wasn't truly until I could put the phone down and be intentional and get outside and start to feel my body and be aware of it and connect it with my mind that I was finally able to kind of eventually begin to find that freedom and that peace from being still. Um, and it was for me, it really did give me compassion. I feel like that wasn't hijacked. Um,
I think also one of the most dangerous parts about social media is like talking about the broader, ways that society, just the lifestyle has changed. I think it came at such a time where, you know, mental health was on such a downhill because we weren't moving, we were eating processed food, all of which is known to, decrease just, I mean, overall happiness and the way our body functions. So obviously, when you're not moving and you're not eating healthy, it's going to be harder for your brain to make dopamine naturally anyways. So then social media becomes this outlet and this coping mechanism for people, which is why people are so drawn to picking up their phone to avoid being alone with themselves or feeling certain feelings or sitting with something or an uncomfortable situation, is because it just allows people to escape from those feelings for however long and not actually deal with them. And I think in those situations, that's where hatred kind of breeds, because you're already not in a great place with yourself. you're feeling not compassionate towards yourself, so how could you feel compassionate towards others? And when you're not going outside and actually interacting with the broader community or talking to people with different beliefs, you're just surrounding yourselves with this faux community on the internet of like-minded individuals. You're never going to teach yourself compassion for one, yourself, or two, for people outside of that circle that you've created.
So I'm hearing human contact.
Yeah.
Lots of human contact. I have to agree with that too. I think we all can ask ourselves that if we hide away and don't get out and make the time and create the time for the face to face, because I mean, we need it. It's a human need.
Right.
So when we don't get that, then it's probably just as easy to trigger less self-worth yet again, when it's not being fulfilled.
Right.
um, wow, I just really feel like all of us have, as a collective, have a lot of healing to do, and really some internal self curiosity to maybe become more aware of what we're feeling and where our body feels it, and asking ourselves, maybe some hard questions if we should maybe do things differently, or um, yeah, it's just hard because I just feel like, you know, all I've seen is the continuation of division. I mean, there's been some beautiful um, compassion too, and some unity, and I have seen people, um, you know, start to get curious about beliefs other than what they had valued for a while. So I think there's, some light shining through too. Um, but I do think that we owe it to ourselves, most importantly, because we're the most important person to love, right? You got to love yourself first, um, to find that compassion and get your body moving.
Yeah.
I think that's key too. I know, um, I didn't move my body this week, and comforted myself with food, and my mind was going crazy, and um, but I really didn't pull myself out of it until I got back outside, turned off the noise, tapped into my senses, and um, really focused on, what I was seeing and smelling and feeling and seeing. And that reset me pretty darn quick when I got outside, and started taking my walks again. And then, of course, it quieted my mind, and I found myself being more present again, because I even had to, Sam came up to talk to me Saturday, and I'm like, I don't think I just heard a word she really just said. And I found myself going back downstairs going, I'm so sorry I wasn't present. And um, yeah, I wasn't present. And I had allowed all that energy, right? Everything's energy, to get stuck, and I wasn't moving it. And I was certainly um, stagnant. And once I got back outside, then it was much more easier for me to start to click back into being able to quiet my mind and pay attention to my body and my thoughts, and not go on social media as much, and not turn on the TVs, and Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you feeling okay?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Isn't she well spoken? I just love it. She's so well spoken.
Got it from you.
I ramble. She's well spoken. Oh, I hope this helps you guys. Let us know what you think. Um, I do think we have to, you know, go within ourselves first. We're certainly not going to get any healing putting it on the external. Um, so just get your body moving and pay attention to it and ask yourself some questions. And I don't know. I certainly would love it if our compassion wasn't so divided and we were more, anchored in love and not fear based and yeah. Okay. I don't know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Thanks.